Now, of course, Holgersen's not coming in to completely, be the OC, but he's coming in to have a say in this offense. And of course, the writing's been on the wall. Rule's not happy currently with the way the offense is running to the point where he took the play sheet in the last game. So this is kind of, almost maybe just a little warning to Satterfield that, like, hey, like, we are in the business of winning and we need to win now. And this is not going to be tolerated. The lack of results, the lack of progress, the lack of success is not going to be tolerated. And I think, he understands that this is the type of fan base where he needs to hold his staff accountable, or, we're going to rightfully kind of lose our minds here watching the same song and dance week after week. And even when Satterfield seems self-aware to the point where he admits, this is the issue, in my opinion, I need to do a better job of this, but then doesn't come out and fix those things and doesn't implement the things he says he needs to implement. It doesn't make a lot of sense as it sits currently. So, but yeah, so hopefully I can give some insight into that and make you feel a little bit better about it. But yeah, like I said, drop your comments in here on that. And first things first, if you're just popping in here, of course, my name is Justin Adams. I am a host here at Nebraska Football, the voice of college football. You can find me over at the X on the_H-Town Husker over there as well. And if y'all don't mind dropping a like on the stream, it really, really helps me out. And I'd greatly appreciate that. So thank y'all. And actually, I got to go into my settings here and turn something on just real quick. But let me go ahead and dive into some of what Holgorsen's systems kind of what he tries to run. And one of the big overarching themes that you'll see in a Dana Holgorsen offense is he's really trying to stretch the field out wide so he can kind of set up. And they talk about, him being this air raid style of coach, but that's the thing. He's not trying to come in and completely revamp the offense. And for people to say he's just an air raid coach, that doesn't really give credit to his kind of the way he's kind of developed and adjusted his system over time. So, with him, it's like the air raid, but he's kind of molded it along the way to fit certain details. So, he started his career, with Mike Leach, who was kind of the inventor, pioneer, if you will, of the air raid. So, what that did was, the quick short passing game was almost kind of the run game. That's how they wore down defenses with the air raid, was just kind of check downs and doing that type of deal. You kind of keep everybody off balance, and you run basically throws that kind of operate as runs to kind of have your run game. And so that's essentially the air raid. But over time, Holgorsen has gotten a lot more in depth with adding, traditional runs, run pass options, and multiple formations, because his offense for a while there was getting pretty predictable. So it has made adjustments over time. But you'll see kind of when I break down the film, he uses a lot of separation and wide splits, kind of horizontally to kind of spread the defense to cover more ground. When you're a defender, you don't want to be covering grass, right? And this is designed to try to make them cover grass, because they're going to be in a situation where they're going to have to hammer down a zone that's, wider now. And so that also, will help the quarterback in a way, because the spacing is going to help him be able to operate and make better throws and almost simplify the offense in a way, because it simplifies the reads for him. When you're attacking certain coverages and you're using certain routes to attack certain coverages, because those exploits in that defense, for instance, cover 2, deep middle of the field, cover 3, you got those kind of outside areas in the void. So like you're attacking those different, targets of the defensive scheme based on how they're aligned, and that makes the quarterback's job much easier. So the one balance, that would have to be found is Satterfield's very much of a huddling type of guy. He believes huddling is like the foundation of football. And a lot of what Holgorsen does goes on tempo. And, so there's going to have to be a balance of kind of finding that tempo because it's one of those where they want to get personnel advantages. So they try to prevent them from being able to make certain switches. So that's something that could be added in there in certain situations, um, and stuff like that. So then, the balanced passing attack as well, because he'll run the ball when needed, even though it is an explosive style of offense where you're trying to set up, um, the deeper pass and stuff like that. But he has adapted over time to the point where if they're playing drop back coverage, and used to be one of his problems is they would drop back into coverage and he would still challenge him and say, our offense is better than your defense. And now he's learned to kind of take that and be able to get a run up the middle, or be able to use that. Um, so it's a lot more balanced. So, and one of the, a couple of the issues that Nebraska's had in terms of their offense this year, rhythm, one of the biggest things is offensive rhythm, explosive plays, consistent explosive plays. And we want to run this offense. We have track guys, right? We wanted to run this offense with spacing. We wanted to run this offense with our speed, our playmakers, and kind of generate this high efficiency offense where we're just kind of getting our playmakers in space. And if they can find a way to kind of implement the styles of his offense that get his teams into rhythm and get them in explosive plays, it's something that this offense can evolve with. And when I brought up the Glenn Thomas interview, when he first came on, we was talking about Matt Rule offenses are a collaborative effort. Dana Holgorsen's probably going to have a big say in this, but again, as was stated, his role will expand a little more as time goes on. But so yeah, I think the best way to kind of merge those styles is just the passing concepts of the spread offense, with the physicality at the line of scrimmage that we desire, and but this is a way to kind of get a more unpredictable, I guess, attack, and that way, what Satterfield is doing is he's being basically out-coached and out-schemed every week, because over the course of this season, Nebraska's offense has seemingly regressed, and it's because he's just repeating a lot of the same concepts. He's not coaching, he's not evolving, he's not adapting. I talked about it when I was talking about USC on a show last night, when I talked about Miller Moss and how Lincoln Riley is not coaching him out of his mistakes, right? And that's kind of what we want to see from our coaching QB connection, is coaching mistakes out of them, right? And it's hard to coach mistakes out of a quarterback when they're put in a situation where they cannot operate as a quarterback. Matt Rule said, of course, earlier this offseason, you get better at football by playing football. But it's hard to go out there and just play football and learn when you're just, you have route concepts that aren't getting open, or, the routes are too deep and you're running for your life. You're not learning much from that film. And so they got to get better at least simplifying some of the concepts for him, so that way we can start seeing him make some of these throws, make some of these timing rhythms, get some of these drives together to have a little bit more of an idea on film of what he is as a quarterback when he's, standing in the pocket confidently. Because right now, like Glenn Thomas said too, calm feet equal calm mind. Right now, his feet aren't calm, and rightfully so. I mean, he's taken a lot of punishment this season. So, and with the different run concepts, like, there needs to be way more variance with the run concepts. Satterfield's really traditional with his run game, right? And it's a very physical style of run game. But, with Holgorsen, he runs a little bit more of a, so what I'm looking for, I wouldn't say spread out kind of run game again, just because he's still in those wide sets from time to time, and not always in those big heavy sets that 12 personnel, that 13 personnel that Satterfield likes to get into. And so, pulling some of those guys out of the box and really letting some of our guys like Ramir and Emmett operate in space by having a little bit more, freedom in the box and taking some of those defenders out. And also, what Ohio State does well. talking about, going to misdirections and things like that. What Ohio State did very well, in the, early part of the season or just so far this season is, and they didn't do it a ton against Nebraska, but what I saw in their film against Iowa was they would run guys, motion guys across and kind of just run them away. They would take a good defender that they wanted to get out if they were in man coverage, and they would, bring a motion guy across the formation and snap the ball while his back's to the play, while he's getting set and kind of getting out on that opposite side. They're going to run the ball the opposite direction. There's little misdirection things that can be done like that aren't happening. But that'll also help with, kind of the jet motions and the jet sweeps as well, because you don't have that threat right now of the spaced out field. People are being able to stack the box right now. And so spreading that field out and then kind of getting them back in the box and just kind of keeping them kind of on their heels and backed up, because what we're seeing a lot right now on these screens is they are being blown up immediately. Like, I'm talking, they are picking, the defenses are seeing this on film because they are picking up and they are blowing up and getting downhill quicker than our blockers can engage in the blocks, right? And so there's something there that's being seen on film that they see on the field that clicks. We got to get downhill as a screen coming. So mixing those variations up to just spreading them out. I think it's the biggest thing is right now defenses are doing what they want, and we're not taking them out of it. We can't take them out of that right now. We're not doing what we need to do in terms of taking advantage of certain coverages. And then you can still add elements of that short passing game as an extension of the run, because that's another thing we've talked about. Nebraska not being able to use the short to intermediate passing game. It's just relying on deep explosive plays and hoping you break some runs and some plays that aren't going to go nowhere to the perimeter, and occasionally some turnovers. So getting a implementation of slants, quick out routes, like Illinois did to us in our game against them. They really went to those out routes, those hitches, those curls, and stuff like that. And that's what a lot of teams do. They take what the defense gives you. And then just, I think this also allows, them to expand just kind of their myriad of formations. And that also will be something that they can use situationally against certain teams, and also gives a bunch of different looks on film. When you have to then cover for the RPO, when you have to then cover for, even the run pass action, which is a RPO, run pass option, and a run pass action are two kind of different things. But, lining up in formations that look passing and then being able to run the ball out of those. That's something that we haven't done very well. And then I think it'll open the tight ends up as well. I do. I see that a lot in his offenses, but I think that'll open up the tight ends as well. Get them, because right now our tight ends aren't being utilized to their best. We still have Fedoni being used horizontally instead of vertically, and Fedoni's been one of our better players this season. Even against Indiana, I think he had the highest grade, and so he's doing a lot of things well, but he's just got to be put in better situation to succeed. Because again, his route was wide open on that interception, that the pick six that Dillarello threw right over him on the seam. If he would have looked a little bit beyond him and done a high-low read, he would have saw Fedoni open down the seam. And yeah, and I think Holgorsen understands at this point, like, his role, right? He's coming in to be a consultant. He's here to help adapt this offense. And so I think those are a lot of things that can come out of this, a more so of a hybrid offense. And I want to show you just really quickly here a drive from his game. Let's see. This is 2022 film. Find it here. And I'll pull this up for you too. And in a second, also what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up, like I said, the success rates for his teams targeting, certain parts of the field, things like that. So, but here's some of his 2018 film, or 2022. Sorry, 2018. I don't think it. Where is it at? Okay, here we go. Let's just do this. But okay, all right. So I'm just going to let this run through a little bit. Okay, let's fast forward it just a little bit. Boop. All right, for some reason it's not wanting to play now. Yeah, it's a buffering. Sorry, guys. Trying to pull this back up. Of course, this would happen. All right, let me see if I can load. I'm going to pull up the numbers while I wait. It loaded up right when I clicked away. Go figure. I'm going to pull up the numbers real quick while I'm waiting on this to load. That's weird because that never happens, but I already had it preloaded. But let's just dive into some of these numbers here. Let me see where I'm at. Okay, so I want to compare first off the U of H here, let's start with Nebraska. We'll start with Nebraska's passing kind of concepts and directions, right? And so what you'll notice, of course, here is you see the percentage of dropbacks under pressure, which is kind of wild. 32%, 32.5% of the time under pressure, blitzed 42.1% of the time, right? And you see the difference in these grades. Okay. So another thing that's good about keeping the defense on their heels is it keeps them from being able to kind of pin their ears back and be able to blitz. And that's what's been happening right now is we're not taking them out of that. So coming down here to the way we target the field, right? You see we got the deep center here, 4.4% of the time, 8 completions, 44. So pretty good pass grade there. We got 1 interception. Deep left. So pay attention to the parts of the field that we target right here. So we got short center, 18.5% of the time. Okay. Intermediate center, 16.4% of the time. Right. And then kind of it's spread out after that. Behind line of scrimmage, 21.8% of the time. Okay. So I think there's a stat here that y'all are going to like. And if y'all can't see that, I'll zoom in just a little bit for y'all. Okay. So this is kind of Nebraska's spread of the offense. Now let's go ahead and go over to the Houston 2022 passing direction. Let's share this tab instead. So coming over here, we'll drop back here and let me see here. All right, cool. So, all right, let's do so 73.1% of the time kept clean, 26.9% under pressure, blitz 36.8. Okay, but look at the numbers when blitzed, right? 91.2, one of their higher pass grades, kept clean, 92.9. Now you see a high success rate off of play action right here, much higher than Nebraska's. No play action. So you see how everything's kind of set up pretty well. But then you come down here, and this is the biggest thing. So a lot of the areas that Nebraska targets on the field are very similar to what Holgorsen's offenses have targeted. So you look here, and we talked about, first off, behind the line of scrimmage, and you see center 13.3%, right? Down from, what was it, 21% under Satterfield. So right there, you eliminate a huge percentage of those plays. Now, coming up here, short center, 18.5%. That was another heavily targeted area of the field for Nebraska. Very poor grade, right? They don't target it with success. Now you come here, short center, 90.6. That's one of their better ones. Intermediate center, 90.7, 14.3%. Again, very similar to the percentages that Nebraska had. And they just do it at a much higher success rate. And if you look at all the numbers over here, the adjusted percentages and stuff like that, they're at a much higher, number. And so when looking at that, but then also looking at the rush direction. So like I was talking about before, when it comes to running the ball with these teams, look at middle right, 57 attempts, right? So kind of spread the defense out wide with your passing offense and attack the middle with your run game. You come here, and you have middle left, right? So 57, 48, and then you kind of have your right ends. They'll run the outside zones on occasions, but you have your right tackle, right guard. So like they really mainly love to target these areas at a high success rate. And the reason why they have a high success rate at these areas, 7.4 yards per attempt, 7 yards per attempt, is because they do a good job of spreading the field out horizontally and bringing everything from that. So I'm going to just jump into some of y'all's comments here, get a little behind. So let's go into it. I don't get the air raid direction with our run game. Here Here to listen, enjoy most of the day. Anything I would have to say right now wouldn't help the conversation. Appreciate you being here, Christian. Matt Rose said everyone knows needs feel, and I'm feeling it. I was like, yeah, I feel you, bro. A cold plate of craft cheese dinner would be a better OC and play caller and sad. I'm curious how Wire Rule chose Holgorsen. Not disappointed at all. Holgorsen was somebody that was rumored about coming last season. So I think it was one of those things where he had already kind of built that connection and had those conversations with Holgorsen. He is available. And that probably made it a lot easier. I don't know, we're paying an OC $1.2 million for the garbage he is calling, plus having to bring someone in to wipe his butt. Yeah, we paid him that and hoping that he wouldn't call such crap. But that, again, along with Jeff Sims, the other worst decision Matt Rule has made is Marcus Satterfield for sure. Dana may be the answer. I mean, anything at this point helps, let's be honest. Regardless of any air raid implications that do or do not exist, Holgorsen knows how to attack favorable matchups and has to be an improvement over the dartboard. Yeah, 100%. And that was kind of one of the things I want to show you in Nebraska's film is not taking advantage of those certain coverages. Riley will greatly benefit from having Holgorsen's offense. Agreed, 100%. Let's see. I don't think Nebraska fans are against having a passing tech led offense. We're just against it now because it's not working. If Danny can get it to work, I don't mean to pass first teams. And to be honest, we're not a pass or run first team based on our identity, if that makes sense, because it seems at random. I think that's the problem right now. Everything seems random because there's no identity of the offense. So we don't know coming out there what we're going to get. Is this going to be a drive where we're going to come out and try to establish a run, or is this going to be a drive where we come out, throw the ball 3 times, try to throw it down the field and get nowhere, right? And I think that's part of the problem is like we don't know what this team is first. You know, we would hope that they would be a kind of run first team that establishes a run in Big Ten football. But I just don't think there is enough of identity to even be able to call that. So, what Dana is coming in to do is, you know, like I said, not implement his offense, but give guidance. And he's been around this game a long, long time, especially offensively with his offenses. They've been tremendous. And you can see a lot of numbers floating around there that people looked up about him, but they've been excellent. And so, but today I want to kind of focus on why that's been the case and what I think he can help with. Holgorsen's a better OC than a head coach. He's basically done well as OC, 100%.